Isn't it funny that my previous video involved an armored Batman based on his appearance in The Dark Knight Returns, and now this video does too? I swear to God, I in no way planned this. But I had a mail call, and wouldn't you know it, the Mafex Dark Knight Returns armored Batman figure showed up. So today, let's have a little look at him. For starters, I really love the box art for these. It's simple, it screams adult collectible. The front and right side has him just standing there looking serious. The other side has him with the helmet off. The back box art showcases all three heads and has a couple images of the figure. The one on the top right is clearly from where he's stamping on Superman's face with his spiked boots. And then you got a little box showing the accessories that he comes with. You might have noticed here that, well, there's a certain something missing that was part of the promo images. Yep, that's right. His sonic gun. Anyway, let's get Old Man Bats out of the box, and we can see now everything that we got on the inside. The figure, and then two more interchangeable heads, a slew of interchangeable hands, most of them matching, except for they have one hand that you attach the mist, the spray, the to, and then the other one there is designed specifically for holding on to his throwable. It's funny that he comes with two trigger finger hands, which are completely useless now! Like, honestly, what is he gonna do with those fingers? They're nothing but nose-picking fingers now. Or scratching the top of your head because you're confused fingers. Or possibly purple nurple fingers. But we all know they were designed for holding on to this accessory right here, which was no longer gonna be shipped with any, no guns at all. From Warner Brothers says that. They're like, no guns allowed in any of the toys. But fear not, I have the gun that comes with the Mattel version, and it fits in his hand perfectly. So, if you have that version of the figure, and you still have the gun, well, you can pose him with this one in his hands. The figure itself looks really friggin' cool. This is my definitive version of an armored Batman. I better go grab my copy of the graphic novel and just make sure that he's still on every page, just in case he did jump out of the pages of my graphic novel and now he's standing here on my review bench looking at me. This is just such a cool looking figure. Sculpted to perfection. This is about as comic accurate as it gets. And the initial face sculpt is perfect. This is going to be the one that I leave on the body. Just that neutral, serious Batman face. I have no complaints. I think it looks great. Same thing with the pissy head. You know, the same thing except for you can see his teeth. I think that one looks just as good too. Absolutely no complaints. Looks like it does in the comics. And then you have the unmasked version, which honestly, if I had to pick one head that I don't think quite looks like the source material, I would say that that would be this Bruce Wayne head. It looks great. The head looks great. It's well done. I just don't think it looks exactly like the source material. Oh, you're gonna hate this, but oddly enough, I feel like the Mattel version actually looks a lot more like Frank's artwork. He does in fact have a giant cape too. There is a lot of cape here. So there is plenty of cape for opening up and posing around. There's a lot. It is made out of that material that, if I'm being honest, it is not my favorite material to make a cape from. Although I do have one more critique about this, and that's the fact that you got all these strings hanging out around the top where they've sewn the pleats together, and I feel like it would have made more sense to kind of fold these underneath and then sew it so you don't have this thing going on. And then you got to be careful when you're posing him because the cape will want to kind of stand up. I'm holding onto the cape now. If we just kind of have it like normal, the cape just wants to sit up like that. So you've really got to pay extra special attention to the cape. And I'm not going to lie, those strings are a lot kind of ugly. But overall, I think this is definitely the best looking armored Batman figure on the market. If comic accuracy is something you're really into, this is the one that you want. And not to bombard you with a whole slew of comparisons, but here he is in between the two McFarlane Toys versions of an armored Batman. Here he is standing side by side with the comic accurate Mattel Multiverse version. And then here we have him wedged in between two other versions of Mafex's Dark Knight Batman. The first single release and the one from the Batman Robin 2-pack. And then finally with Superman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, and Carrie Kelly Robin from Mattel. No wait, one more! The Joker. Let's put him next to the Joker. Okay, that's all for the comparisons. I am just so in love with this figure. I think that it looks fantastic. The details in this are just amazing. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I feel like the best company that handles the DC license is Mafex. Their figures simply cannot be beat. So naturally, the next question will be exactly how articulated is this Batman figure? What kind of poses will you be able to or not be able to get this guy in? Well, the head has articulation in the neck and in the top of the head there. And it's an okay range, considering he's got that big helmet inside of that piece of gargantuan neck armor. You know, the neck shrapnel armor piece. That's actually pretty darn good. And it also goes forward and backwards. The arms are kind of strange. They are on like a real butterfly. So they butterfly right out, which is good. You need that for a big armored figure like this. I'll take the arm off and show you. You got a little hinge right there. So it is a true butterfly, which is very, very good. And up here on the arm, you've got that pauldron that's on a little hinge to try and help it get out of the way. But it is a strange articulation piece in that you will get, obviously, 360 right around. Don't push it too much because, you know, the ball joint does want to pop out of the socket. That is a thing. You can get, see, it just popped out again. If you're very careful and you push the articulation up here, up, you can get pretty much a T, but not quite. So don't expect much in the up department. And let's face it, that is definitely kind of ugly. That's one way that Mattel kind of, even with their more limited style of articulation, you know, they get less of a T, but I do like the fact that they were going in the direction of having that shoulder pauldron just go inside the body. So it would have been kind of cooler if Mafex did something like that. But alas, they did not. You do get that full ball joint range of droppy motion and everything. He does have a full 360 bicep swivel, which is nice. Double jointed elbows that, I mean, that's all you're going to get. You're going to get a 90-degree double jointed elbow, and the wrists, the hands are attached with a peg, and there's a great big rounded hinge. So, you know, that's an okay range. The torso does look to be attached by a rounded hinge. What's going on back there? Let's have a little look. Okay, so we can see a little bit in there. There's a ball joint in there. It's pretty clicky, so it'll hold its pose. It's not going to be loose. And then, of course, the waist also is attached via little ball joints. And you can see the whole T, how it's all connected there. And down here, below the belt, he's got those drop hinges. I love drop hinges. They are so useful. They really help with that range of motion, like a lot. You can stuff him back in there when he doesn't need them, pull him out when it's necessary, and use that articulation point. Little rounded ball joints. And there is a little bit of motion like that, but not based on there being a thigh cut. No thigh cut. Double jointed knees that give you essentially a single jointed knees articulation. I understand though, I mean, this is a very big and bulky unwieldy figure. And then you've got your ankle articulation, which is going to be a pivot and a big hinge, and toe articulation. No articulation right here. I feel like that could have been a place where they put an articulation point right at the top of the boot. Nothing there. And that is it. That is the sum total of his articulation. So what do I think about Mafex's attempt at creating a Dark Knight Returns armored Batman action figure? Is it good or is it garbage? Well, you've been here the whole time, and you've heard everything I had to say, and I must sound generally pretty stoked on account of the fact that, well, I am generally pretty stoked. Sure, I do wish that it had just a little bit better articulation, but I understand why that can be something a little challenging when you have a figure as big and bulky and stocky as this one. You've really got to strike that balance of form and function. And sometimes articulation points can make a figure look bad. Other times, like in the case of this one, you could have hit a few more in there and the figure would have looked exactly the same. At any rate, I think that this guy looks fantastic. It does have enough articulation for me, and I feel it will for, I suppose, the majority of the collectors who are going to buy this. And in my opinion, it is overall the best attempt at a Dark Knight Returns armored Batman figure. And on that, I suppose I'm done. So thank you so much for tuning in and watching. It does mean a lot to me, as always. I hope that this video was an interesting, useful, insightful waste of time for the time period that you watched it, and I will see you at the next one. Have a DC day, everybody, and take care.